Welcome to Counterpart After Hours. I am Tom Dutchie. It's time to loosen up the tie a little bit, unbutton that jacket button, where the panel and I have some extended time to talk about issues of the day here in Connecticut and quite frankly, like whatever the heck else we want to talk about. We have Elizabeth,
I'm over here.
You're over there.
It's after hours.
E, B to Z, after hours, right?
Hours.
Child care guru,
Yes.
right?
I have no tie, though.
No, okay. Brandon McGee, right? Yep. And Cerulli joins us. Liz Kranowitz and Joe Paletta. Now, Cerulli said he looks like Gene Kranz, and like he looks like he's about like
compliment.
mission control out there. You know,
we gotta get you a cup.
My tie clip.
Right.
We should start smoking cigarettes on the set.
right, exactly. Separating from the limb in 15 seconds, right?
I don't need more secondhand smoke.
No.
Okay?
Hey, so on Cap Report this morning, we spent some time talking about the assassination of Republican activist Charlie Kirk. Is this the moment where we say enough is enough when it comes to political violence and the vitriol coming from both sides of the aisle? Are we past the point of no return? We live in a social media world where it gives anyone a pulpit to spew their opinions and anything they want to say. Can't help ourselves. A president who's unapologetically brash when it comes to saying or typing whatever's on his mind, and we're all consuming it. The problem is, probably doesn't matter what your political views are. Everyone just keeps taking the bait. And Charlie Kirk invited people to take the bait. And we've talked about discourse and civility and politics before on this program. But have we reached the point of no return, guys? What do you think? Come on, Slo, you take the first bite of this one.
Oh, jeez. No, I mean, I think we talked about it during the show, right?
Right.
Typing about any thought that comes to your mind, having, heated, very vibrant, loud, sometimes hostile conversations on campus. That's all good as long as it doesn't lead to violence, right? I think that's kind of the whole point. You're supposed to be able to have loud conversations, even conversations where you vehemently, certainly a lot of people vehemently disagreed with Charlie Kirk, but I think I said during the show, right? Like a lot of the people in that crowd didn't agree with him. And that was kind of the point of what he was doing going to campuses, was bringing people who disagreed with him and having even sometimes combative conversations. Again, you just have to, hope that the majority of people in this country understand that those shouldn't lead to violence.
I'll throw this out to the panel because, we're all political operatives. We all run campaigns. We don't all run campaigns. You've been at one point. We've all know what it's like to run campaigns or to be elected. And political operatives and campaign staffs are, they're often pushing messages that energize our base. That's the kind of things we do. But how do we see the tension between messaging, which sometimes uses these strong and polarization languages, and the risk that those messages can escalate into what we just saw?
Well, I think that's a really important point. And Joe, you and I were talking about this, and I have talked about this before, right? I mean, I think when you think about the way in which campaigns are run, all day, every day, if you've ever given through Act Blue or Win Red, the two national sort of fundraising processing platforms for the Republicans and Democrats, all day you are getting messages that are ginning you up. All day, every day.
Every day.
Text messages, emails, videos, digital ads, phone calls.
All with incendiary ads that play to Google keywords.
All day, every day. And they're all intended to get you to give that next dollar. It's like a car warranty salesman. They never leave you alone, right? So I think that there is something to that, and I've talked a lot ad nauseum about how campaign finance reform has led to the degradation of our politics. And I think over time, everyone's looking for that edge, and they are all saying the most inflammatory things. And Chris Murphy raised like $9 million in Q1. He certainly wasn't raising that money saying, isn't everything great?
We have to put more onus on the campaign managers and the communication directors of campaigns.
And candidates.
Of course, and candidates.
They can push back.
Because you're totally right. The algorithm, social media, it's built to feed off your need of more and more and more. The more depressing it is, or the more fear you have, it doubles down on that, and it knows you. But as a candidate, or as the actual candidate, like the campaign manager, it's your opportunity to stop it and say, you know what, I'm above this. I don't need to double down on the hate. I'm going to make sure I'm going to put a positive message out there so that I'm not creating more fear or stewing the pot of hate, because that's what gets me more votes.
And we need more of this. And for a moment, I just want to give you credit, Tom, because for a very long time, you and your partners have put together a panel of people who disagree fundamentally on our politics and the way in which we believe policy solutions should be implemented to make Connecticut and our country a better place. And I think what you do every single week is show that you can do this, and you can do it productively with friends and laugh and have a good time. I don't have a negative opinion of anybody on this panel because we disagree substantively on a policy issue. You are all my friends.
That's
so
the way it
it's a
should
credit
be.
to you for what you do to help that
I always told people when I worked for Weicker, who was a very polarizing figure in the state, I said, I don't agree with everything Weicker says.
You shouldn't.
I don't agree with everything my wife says.
I don't even, right, exactly.
Amen, right?
Joe, weigh in on that. You agree with everything your wife says?
That's,
Go ahead, Joe.
yeah.
Kimmy's
and
a saint.
I'll just say,
you know.
yes, puts up with a lot. But let me just say, it was comforting to see the Connecticut Young Democrats and Connecticut Young Republicans come together because, as it was mentioned before by Mike, you know, this is all they know. The generation, is it Generation X?
Z? No, they're not Generation X.
X
Come on,
is
come on,
before
Matt.
us.
Generation Z, I'm sorry. I'm a millennial.
We're elder millennials,
Okay.
geriatric actually.
Wow.
But you know,
Okay.
Gen Z, the folks
So-
who were born around the time period of 9/11.
And these people only know politics as a contact sport, and that's just not fundamentally correct. There were days when Democrats and Republicans could argue on the House floor, but then afterwards shake hands and come to a compromise. It seems that those days are over, and worse, people are turning to political violence now to get their point across. We need to change that.
Yeah, I've gone through a host of emotions regarding this, and I said what I said earlier, and I'll say it again. We should not be killing anybody because of their political differences, whether right or wrong.
Amen.
You should be able to speak your truth to power, as we would say, right, and not be killed. However, there is nothing, okay, that overshadows all of the craziness that's been spewed by many folks, and I'm not just talking about Kirk, okay? When will we take accountability on some of the hateful things that's been said? And you're right. We need the Republicans and Democrats to come together if this really matters. If coming together really matters, how can we get folks working together but allow people to speak their truth?
But Brandon, it goes
And
beyond.
let me just say, I'll finish here. A lot of people that I've talked to feel like, oh, all of a sudden I have to mum. I can't say anything because, oh, this guy.
Too careful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
right.
Hurts
it's
your
like-
words.
That's why I appreciate what you said to Tom. We're having this conversation right on TV.
Right, for everybody to see.
For everybody to see and hear.
But it's beyond politics.
Yes.
This is beyond that. This is religious persecution. This is, I don't like that person cut me off on the highway and I'm going to.
Well, I'm guilty of that.
Well,
Yeah.
No.
but you're not killing.
But you're
I know,
not killing
oh,
anybody.
but people do get killed.
Yes, they do. That's my point. And I said this on the show as a parent, right?
Yeah.
There is a tremendous responsibility to raise human beings who treat everyone with respect as if they were made. And in my house, every single human is made in the image and likeness of God, and that is something we do.
We got to move on.
Everybody's gotta get
We got
better.
some fun stuff that didn't make the show, unfortunately. I'm sure she's probably happy about this. Hey, you never know when your words may come back to haunt you. So last week, the Yankee Institute pushed a story where Democrat State Rep Alania Carlos DeGraw said that non-college degree workers are a burden. This wasn't behind closed doors. It happened to be during a public working group on college student debt back in August 25th. Well, take a listen to this.
I think that as we continue to encourage people that the most important thing is to go to college in order for them to have long-term earning power and to be able to start building generational wealth and to succeed. And remember, if folks aren't going to college and getting the jobs that, college educations fill, what jobs are they ending up in? They're ending up in jobs that do not pay them enough, and then they do become, quote unquote, a burden on everyone else because of the services they might need. It might be SNAP, it might be, some kind of housing voucher, whatever it is, Medicaid, et cetera. So this really is, again, it's economic participation that we are talking about in order to try to lift people up from even the situation of what these loans is pushing down on them.
Ah, the quiet part out loud. So Senate Minority Leader Steve Harding, Joe's pal, called out the comment as out of touch, adding, quote, "It's ludicrous to say that we need to get 4-year degrees in order to secure good paying jobs. More than half of Connecticut residents don't have a degree in college," guys. Hey, Pauletta, a lot of people down in Electric Boat without college degrees, right? I'm sure they're not a burden on Groton, New London, and the state.
Let me just say I am disappointed in the representative for making those remarks. They are offensive, and I think for all these folks across Connecticut that do not have a 4-year degree, they certainly are owed an apology. But more
Took me
importantly-
10 years to get one.
And okay, and you're here, and you're doing great, and God bless you. But more importantly, you know, I'm the child of an immigrant, but also an immigrant who attended trade school to become an electrician. All 4 of my grandparents
I didn't know
worked
we
in-
had that in common. I went to trade school.
Well,
Anyway,
I-
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead. Finish your
and,
thought.
and,
Sorry.
and all 4 of my
Sorry.
grandparents were factory workers. None of them, including my own father, had a traditional 4-year degree, but all of them became productive members of the society here in Connecticut. They helped their children better themselves, which in my case included a 4-year degree. But that's not what I'm judged on.
You probably
I'm
make more
judged
money
on
if
my
you were an
character.
electrician.
And I was just going to finish by saying, it's the electrician
Yes.
you call when you lose power. It's the plumber you call when you need your water turned back on, which is vital for survival. It's the factory worker that builds our engines, our automobiles, and our planes. We cannot succeed without people that don't have.
I could not agree with you.
Was there something she was trying to say but didn't say it the,
Yeah,
the
I'll just
right
say
way?
this. Let's just reframe this. I know Eleni. She is a really great person. I'm
sure.
Done great work to help lift others out of poverty through her work, through many nonprofits. I think it's a bit of political theater, you ask me. This is a bit much. I will say, though, maybe not burden, but perhaps use a different word to
words
describe
matter.
those.
Exactly.
I went to Prince Tech. Shout out to Prince Tech, vocational high school, and studied electrical. And had it not been for my experience in vocational technical high school, I'm not sure I would be here today. And I also have a 4-year and then another degree after that, right? So I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure that was the proper
I
context.
also want to point out that higher degrees include vocational programs.
Yeah.
That means electrical training and plumbing and trades and apprenticeships with labor organizations. And that is not to go so deep into the semantics, but she said higher ed. So there's that. If you walk with Eleni, if you door knock with her, which I have many times, she is 150% in on the working class and so supporting people and getting them out
Been
of poverty.
endorsed by trades.
So, of course, proudly,
Right.
because she's not just talking the talk, she walks the walk. In regards to your passionate sentiment, Joe, I hear you. Of course, there are so many people here in the state of Connecticut that are looking for other options, and especially now with the Dolly Report and looking at where kids go these days, the disconnected youth, we need to double down on that reality. With semantics on the words, I'm with you. Like, it's a little bit of political theater. Eleni doesn't deserve it. This is a wake-up call to her for next time.
Right,
Well,
truly.
I think, obviously, all of us who speak for a living, and I speak on camera for a living, we've all said things that hasn't quite come out right. To this conversation that we're having before about language and about the sort of latitude we all afford each other in political debate, I would just say, Liz and Joe, if you went up in front of a microphone and described SNAP recipients as a burden on society, what do you think the House Democrats would say about you?
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, there would definitely be some political, fallback from it. But I think based on, and I've watched the video several times, it's clear, and it's clear through not just the representative from Avon, right, Avon, but it's clear through others. I've seen it in Hartford that people genuinely believe that if you don't have that 4-year college degree, you're somewhat of a failure, and that is wrong. We need to get away from that mentality. Not every kid coming out of high school is going to go to college. They may choose a different path. Workforce development is huge in the greater Waterbury area. The trades are huge. We have Caner Tech. I know many of my constituents and many young individuals in the city of Waterbury that are going to Caner Tech. Why send that message to them? And it's not just her. We're singling her out right now, but the overall conversation needs to change. College, the traditional 4-year degree, is not for everyone.
to your point, Mike, there would have been press conferences. Democrats would have been up there demanding action. You know, it would have been a much bigger deal than it has been. And she's had ample time to clean up these remarks, and she hasn't.
Well, maybe after she watches Capitol Report this week. All right. Maybe she'll hate. All right, okay. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Go refresh your coffee, or if you're watching this past noon, another Bloody Mary. We're going to talk special session and housing for Brandon when we get back to it. Right.
It would have been a much.
Right, next topic, special session, Governor Lamont talking about housing, and what could be a big sticking point on getting a deal done with lawmakers on an affordable housing bill. Take a listen to this.
We've been meeting with CCM, we've been meeting with the small towns, meeting with the mayors. I want them on board. We've had very constructive conversations. Some in the legislature sort of think we have to jam it on the towns because they're not going to do it by themselves. Yet I'm finding they're coming forward with very constructive ideas. A lot of those ideas are in our proposal we're going back to the legislature with. I think the towns, tell us where the number of units are, how they want to do it, zone it accordingly. But I love the idea of the COGS being involved. You need sewer and water, let's say. That doesn't stop at the border. Sometimes that requires a regional solution.
Geez, COGS. We need McKinney here to decode acronyms. Hey, we just occurs to us we have a former deputy commissioner of housing on the panel here this morning, and we were talking about it offline. When these special sessions happen, they never finish it and go, oh my God, groundbreaking legislation. They did so much. I never thought that was possible. So it'll be an incremental change, probably, if even that.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes
I
only window
would be
dressing.
the one to say, yes, look what we passed. This is amazing.
Right?
We do. It's hard work, right, Joe? I mean, it's hard pushing these things through the process. But what I will say is, Ned Lamont, all of the leaders, I think they've done a great job going out back to their communities, small towns in particular, to allow them to lean in on this particular reimagining of this bill. But I think there's going to be some hard times internally, and maybe you can speak a bit more to that than I. But I'm hearing that there is a deal that they're going to strike soon. But there still will be some challenges with respect to your advocates saying, look, we need to do more. Let's not just pass a bill just to pass a bill. We talk these plans, but are you actually developing homes, affordable homes in communities that would otherwise say, don't build here?
We worked very closely on the housing committee, and we all agree that we have a housing crisis in the state of Connecticut, that homelessness is on the rise, and that we need more affordable units across the state of Connecticut. The question is, how do we get there? We have seen some movement. My understanding is, while I don't sit on that committee, that the leaders have been getting together and talking about specifics. I don't know the specifics, admittedly, I'm not in those conversations.
Kind of call Zulo, man.
Exactly.
What are you doing? You got to give us
the wrong
inside
guy on
information.
this
I don't know
one.
specifics. Come on, man. You talk to
I
Zulo
just
3
want to
times
say
a
that
day.
it was
There probably aren't specifics.
It was a bipartisan group of legislators, Democrats and Republicans, particularly Democrats and Republicans from Fairfield County, that were extremely concerned about home rule. They were concerned about a state takeover of zoning. And I think that's what stalled the bill from being that big, I don't want to say big, beautiful bill, but dare I say big, beautiful bill. But
say that.
Very big
That might be one way to kill
bill.
it, actually.
Well, yeah, it's this big, beautiful
right
housing
there.
bill. But that's what happened, right? I mean, and we faced this when we were on that committee, where you had a bipartisan group of legislators that were members of different groups that did everything they could to thwart the progress. And now, we're trying to take this up in between Halloween and Veterans Day, and hopefully we're going to come to an agreement. That's
Ritter
what
said
the latest
Columbus
is.
Day and Halloween. Now we're looking at November.
I think we're looking at after the municipals.
Sounds
But don't take it
spooky.
from me, because I'm not in charge. Yeah,
right,
it is spooky.
right.
But the fact that we're still having this conversation, to me, it's healthy, right?
Yes,
because
I agree.
you're keeping housing at the forefront. We know that affordability is going to be key in this upcoming election. We know that people need a place to lay their heads. And the reality is, no, you can't force a town to develop.
And we're going to talk
housing.
about it probably after this next quick break.
All right, well, I'll save my
but
spiel.
it is a municipal election year, and so this is an election. This is the issues, which is probably maybe they don't want to basically spend a lot of time doing anything because you don't want to make it an issue.
Whose money is on a study committee?
Right. All right. Yeah.
No,
Nobody's
action,
going to
action.
do anything
All those
in this
studies are good.
climate before you end up.
Right.
Look, they all have to go into the next
Yep.
legislative election cycle. You've got the municipal elections. They can't agree on the big ticket items here, and there's not enough window dressing around the edges.
Well,
Because
I
then
will
you
say
get
this.
to-
Shout out to Sela Musquera Bruno, commissioner there at DOH, doing an outstanding job developing homes alongside the
Yes.
small towns, doing some great work.
Amen.
Right? And so the reality is, and I'll save the rest for the next.
Okay, well, you
I
know,
don't wanna get shut
you didn't get COG in there, so, you know. Hey, so we're going to take a quick break, and good news, we have Cerulli here. We're going to talk primaries when we get back and look forward to Election Day in November. Don't go away.
Maybe we get you to.
Well, guess what happened last week? Yep, primaries were held in 21 Connecticut cities and towns. As usual, turnout, like, dismal. There were some interesting races. One of them was in Hamden, where Democrats Adam Sendroff edged out 4 other candidates looking to become the town's next mayor. Good luck with that. Hamden residents are not happy with the state of the town's finances and sky-high property taxes. Sendroff will face Republican Jonathan Katz in November, guys. So really, this was your big day. You were out there in Hamden.
Yeah.
What was interesting, what was not interesting, and where do we go looking towards the election in November?
Gosh, what was interesting about municipal primaries? Turnout, obviously, was interesting.
Yeah, anemic.
The number of candidates was interesting. The fact that Jonathan Katz, the 24-year-old Republican candidate, was out at the polls on Democratic primary day. He was not on the ballot. He was out greeting voters, I think shows sort of the energy in Hamden right now. Obviously, the property tax situation, kind of the big thing on every voter's mind, certainly every voter I talked to at the polls. Those were the 2 interesting things. Honestly, not quite sure what defined that race down in Norwalk, the Barbara Smith primary, but that was another one we were watching. But
And McGee, how about in Bloomfield?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Cerulli, you didn't mention Bloomfield. Bloomfield, of all places, it was kind of hot there. But it was really cool to see folks like Suzette DeBeetham Brown, former mayor, return back to the council. It's going to be an interesting time. I mean, a small town with a lot of interesting dynamic
that's
happening.
one way of saying it. Yeah.
That's
So,
the
Mike,
way
what's
I'll
on
keep it.
what's on tap for November?
What's on tap for November? I mean, a lot of open races. We have a lot of outgoing mayors, of course. Aaron Stewart, New Britain, outgoing. Torrington's got an outgoing.
Molly Spino.
Yeah.
Shout out to Molly Spino.
Middletown, not quite an outgoing mayor situation, but the current incumbent is an acting. He's not been on the ballot for mayor yet.
And what
so.
the heck's going on in Fairfield?
Fairfield's we're looking at January. So Tony Wong, he says he's got enough signatures. Liz, I believe,
they
certified it.
certified
Yes,
it,
they've
yes.
certified that already. So there will be a special election there. So Tony Wong on the ballot. And the thing I'm really interested, I know you are too, Liz and Joe, if Tony wins, we're back for another special election to fill his state's
Yeah.
In the
seat.
middle of a
In the
short
middle of a session.
Yeah.
One shout out too on the primary front, Waterbury. Waterbury
That was another
Republicans had a
interesting one, yeah.
battle going on in
Kenny
Waterbury.
Curran's running in that in Waterbury,
and
right?
Mostly,
Yeah, he
you know,
is.
Yeah.
Dawn Myrano is running a great town committee out in Waterbury. I think that's showing, to your point, a lot of energy and excitement.
What's Kenny
about
running
what's
for? School
happening.
board or
Kenny's running for the Board of Alders.
Board of Alders? Okay, good.
Yeah.
He better win.
He's the voice of like the baseball stadium.
Right,
I
sure.
didn't know that about him. He's
Oh,
going
God,
for
we're
my
talking
job.
sports.
Yeah, sports. Eva, what's sticking? What are you looking at as we head towards the municipals?
For municipals, my eyes were on Norwalk and seeing what was happening. I thought it was very interesting looking at the divide between the party of the insiders and who's been working there in the building for years versus a new perspective and new voice. And I think Barbara winning shows that there's a new group in town that really feels like it's time for change. So.
Yeah, the Hamden or the Norwalk delegation, I should say, was split in that race, right?
Yeah,
there was some
they were.
endorsements on either side of it, and Barbara Smith. And shout out to Harry Rilling,
Yep,
a long
yep,
time
yes.
there in
Yeah.
Norwalk,
Yeah,
a public
Norwalk, yeah.
servant,
Yep,
and
yep.
on a
stellar
personal note, a friend of my late grandfather's. So.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for After Hours. My wife says make sure Liz gets a shot one of these days.
Nora, I thought we were
record
friends,
this.
Nora. I thought
This
we
is
were
good.
friends.
Liz,
I
we
gotta
also
record
support women's
this.
basketball.
Almost got it.
That was awesome.
I got you.
Did
I
it.
got you. I got it.
So close.
You know what?
Give me a shot. Give me a
That's
shot.
not fair.
I can't reach it.
I was so close. Thanks, Nora.
You were
Appreciate
so close.
you.
were so close.
Thanks.
All right, let's see what you got.
Oh,
Wow.
overshot,
All right.
overshot.
I'm better than that.
you
I got that.
Underhanded. You know?
I guess beer pong better than
right. Oh, we should bring some ping pong balls. You know?
Right.
Oh,
Right,
that was good.
nice job, guys. Huh? That was quick.
Good job.